30 easy ways to turn women on. If you want to turn women on, you have to stop trying to impress them and start making them feel something. These aren't dirty lines. They're the kinds of things you say when you want sexual tension to build naturally. In this video, I'm giving you 30 easy ways to turn women on with your words. And the final one is the sentence that explains why attraction suddenly feels different when it's real. 1. Tell her the specific moment you noticed her energy changed. Most guys give generic compliments. You're going to do the opposite. Try this. I noticed the second you started talking about that project, your whole energy shifted. You got quieter, but more focused. It was like watching someone step into a different version of themselves. Women are used to men commenting on how they look. They're not used to men noticing the invisible shift that happens when they move from small talk into something they actually care about. That specificity signals that you're not just looking at her, you're reading her. And when a woman feels seen at that level, it does something to her that surface-level compliments never will. The key is the detail. Don't just say her energy changed. Tell her exactly when and how. 2. Describe the way she does something no one else does. Here's what this sounds like. You have this thing where you tilt your head slightly before you disagree with someone, like you're deciding whether it's worth the fight. Or, when you're thinking, you trace patterns on whatever's in front of you. Your phone, the table, your drink. I don't think you even realize you do it. This works because it's hyper-specific to her. You're not describing a universal trait. You're describing something she does that makes her different from every other woman you've been around. It tells her you've been watching her long enough to notice patterns. And that level of attention creates a pull she can't ignore. Most men are trying to impress her. You're showing her you've been studying her. 3. Point out when she makes you forget what you were about to say. Mid-conversation, stop and tell her this. I just completely lost my train of thought because of the way you just said that. Don't over-explain it. Don't turn it into a bigger thing. Just acknowledge it and move on. What this does is create a moment where she realizes she has an effect on you that she wasn't trying to create. It's not about her looks. It's not performative. It's about the fact that something she said or the way she said it derailed your focus without her even trying. That unintentional power is incredibly attractive to women because it proves the attraction is real, not calculated. And the fact that you're confident enough to admit it makes it even better. 4. Tell her what she's good at that she doesn't give herself credit for. This one requires observation. You're looking for the thing she downplays or dismisses when someone compliments her on it. Then you call it out directly. You're really good at making people feel like they can say anything around you. I've noticed it with everyone you talk to. You don't interrupt, you don't judge, you just let people finish. That's rare. This works because most compliments focus on things women already know about themselves. This one focuses on something she does unconsciously, something she probably doesn't view as a skill. It reframes how she sees herself. And when you make a woman see herself differently, especially in a way that feels accurate and earned, the attraction deepens fast. Before we go on, if you're not just passively scrolling but genuinely working on how you show up, comment intentional below. That tells me you're taking this seriously. 5. Mention the small thing she did that you're still thinking about. Here's the line. I keep thinking about that thing you said last week about, and then reference something small she probably doesn't even remember saying. It could be a throwaway comment, a joke, an opinion she mentioned in passing. The power here is in the fact that it stuck with you. She said 100 things that day. You remembered one. That tells her she's taking up space in your head when she's not even around. And that's what creates tension. Most men try to be memorable. This flips it. You're letting her know she's the one who's memorable to you. The smaller and more specific the detail, the more effective this is. 6. Call out the exact tone she uses when she's excited about something. Try this. Your voice does this thing when you're talking about something you actually care about. It gets faster and a little higher, and you start talking over yourself like you can't get the words out fast enough. I noticed it when you were talking about that trip you're planning. This is powerful because tone is something most people never consciously notice or comment on, but she knows exactly what you're talking about the second you say it. It's a level of observation that feels intimate without being invasive. You're not commenting on her body. You're commenting on the way her enthusiasm shows up in her voice, and that makes her feel understood in a way that most surface-level attraction never does. This next one takes it even further. 7. Tell her the pause you take before responding because she said something that hit. Mid-conversation, say this. Hold on. I need a second to process what you just said because that actually landed. Then take the second. Don't rush past it. Let the pause exist. What you're doing here is showing her that what she says has weight. Most people respond immediately in conversations, which signals they're not really considering what the other person said. They're just waiting for their turn to talk. When you pause, you're proving you're actually digesting her words. That makes her feel heard at a level most women rarely experience. And when a woman feels like her words have impact, the attraction compounds. The pause does more than the compliment ever could. 8. Describe what happens in your head when she walks into a room. Don't tell her she looks good. Tell her what happens to you. Try this. When you walked in earlier, I had this split second where I forgot what I was in the middle of saying to someone else. It was like my brain just stopped. This shifts the focus from her appearance to your reaction. You're not asking her to perform or live up to something. You're admitting she has an involuntary effect on you. That's what creates chemistry. It's not about whether she's objectively attractive. It's about the fact that she specifically disrupts your focus without trying. And when you frame it that way, it becomes about the pull between you, not about her meeting some standard. That distinction is everything. 9. Point out the contradictions in her that make her interesting. Here's what this sounds like. You're quiet in groups, but the second it's one-on-one, you don't hold anything back. It's like you're two completely different people depending on who's around. Or, you talk about how much you hate conflict, but when you actually care about something, you'll argue harder than anyone I know. Women are used to men trying to simplify them, put them in a box, figure them out quickly. This does the opposite. You're telling her you've noticed she doesn't fit into one category, and instead of that being confusing, it's what makes her compelling. Contradictions are what make people interesting. When you name hers specifically, you're proving you see her as more than one thing. 10. Tell her about the conversation you had with yourself after talking to her. Say this. I had this whole argument with myself after we talked last time about whether I was reading too much into what you said or if you were actually saying what I thought you were saying. Don't resolve it. Don't tell her what you decided. Just let her know the internal dialogue happened. This works because it reveals that she's occupying mental space when you're not together. She's not just someone you think about when she's in front of you. She's someone you're actively trying to figure out when she's gone. That plants the idea that she's getting under your skin without you being able to control it. And that uncontrollable pull is what attraction is built on. Those first 10 show her you notice things most men don't. Now let's get into what you say once she's already starting to feel something. 11. Admit when she's the reason you're reconsidering something about yourself. This is what vulnerability sounds like when it's done right. I've always thought I wasn't the kind of person who'd want to spend hours just talking to someone. Then I realized I've done that with you 3 times this week and didn't even notice the time. You're not making a grand declaration. You're admitting she's shifting something in you that you didn't expect to shift. This works because it's not about her changing you. It's about her revealing a version of you that was already there, but dormant. Women respond to this because it shows emotional awareness and honesty without neediness. You're not asking her to be responsible for the shift. You're just naming it. And that level of self-awareness paired with openness is deeply attractive. 12. Describe the specific way her mind works that you find attractive. Try this. You connect things that shouldn't go together, and somehow it makes perfect sense. Like earlier when you compared that work situation to a chess game. I'd never thought about it that way, but now I can't unsee it. Most compliments target surface-level traits. This one targets how she thinks. You're telling her that the way her brain processes information is what pulls you in. That's rare. Most women are used to being complimented on how they look or what they do. Almost none are used to men commenting on their cognitive patterns with specificity. When you do this, you're signaling that you're attracted to her mind in a way that feels genuine because you can point to exactly why. And mental attraction creates a different kind of tension than physical attraction ever could. 13. Tell her what she says when she doesn't realize how revealing it is. Here's the setup. You said something yesterday that I don't think you meant to say the way it came out. You mentioned how you always feel like you have to earn people staying, even when they've already chosen to. I don't think you realized you said that out loud. Then stop. Don't try to fix it or reassure her. Just let her sit with the fact that you caught it. What this does is show her you're listening at a level deeper than the surface conversation. You're catching the subtext, the things she reveals without meaning to. That creates an intimacy that feels earned, not forced. She'll either deflect or open up more, but either way, you've just shown her you see past the performance most people accept as the whole picture. 14. Point out when she's trying to hide that she's pleased. Say this the moment you see it. You're trying really hard not to smile right now. Or, you just did that thing where you look away because you don't want me to see that you're happy about what I just said. Call it out in real time. Don't let the moment pass. This works because it catches her in the act of feeling something she's trying to conceal. You're proving you can read her even when she's trying to control what you see. That creates a sense of being known that most women crave but rarely experience. And the playfulness of calling it out diffuses any defensiveness. You're not accusing her of anything. You're just letting her know that her poker face isn't as good as she thinks it is. And that awareness builds tension fast. 15. Mention the thing she does that makes you want to cancel other plans. Here's what you say. I had something else I was supposed to do tonight, and the second you texted, I started thinking of excuses to get out of it. That's not something I normally do. You're admitting she's reprioritizing your time without asking her to. This is powerful because it's not a compliment about her. It's a confession about your behavior. You're showing her she has pull over your decisions without her having to work for it. Most men try to seem unaffected, like they're in control of their choices at all times. This does the opposite. You're letting her know she's the exception to how you usually operate. And exceptions are what make people feel special. The key is stating it matter-of-factly, not like you're asking for credit or validation. Just name the pattern and move on. 16. Tell her the question she asked that you haven't stopped thinking about. Try this. You asked me last week why I think people settle, and I've been turning that over in my head ever since. I still don't have a good answer. You're giving her credit for making you think in ways you weren't already thinking. This works because most conversations are forgettable. When you tell a woman that something she said stayed with you past the moment it was said, you're proving the conversation had substance. And women respond to men who treat their words like they matter. This isn't flattery. It's acknowledgement. You're not telling her she's smart in some vague, generic way. You're pointing to the exact question that lodged itself in your brain and won't leave. That specificity makes it real. 17. Describe how different she looks when she's focused on something she cares about. Say this. There's this shift that happens when you talk about something you actually care about. Your face changes. You look more serious, but also more alive. It's like watching someone step into the version of themselves they don't let most people see. This works because you're not complimenting her appearance in a static way. You're describing a transformation you've observed. You're telling her that the most attractive version of her isn't the one she's performing. It's the one that shows up when she's too invested in something to care what she looks like. That reframes beauty in a way most women never hear. It's not about her trying. It's about her forgetting to try. And that distinction lands deeper than any standard compliment ever could. 18. Admit the thought you had about her that caught you off guard. Here's what this sounds like. I caught myself thinking about what it would be like to wake up next to you the other day, and I wasn't even trying to go there. It just showed up. This is bold, but it works because you're framing it as something that happened to you, not something you're pushing on her. You're not asking her to reciprocate. You're admitting that your mind went somewhere without permission. That vulnerability paired with honesty creates tension because she now knows she's occupying space in your thoughts in ways you didn't plan for. The key is delivery. State it like a fact you're sharing, not a line you're using. No expectation, just honesty. That's what makes it land. If you're really feeling this one, the next one goes even further. 19. Tell her what you almost said, but held back. Mid-conversation, say this. I almost said something just now, but stopped myself. If she asks what it was, you can tell her or you can say, maybe later. Either way works. What you've just done is created a gap. She knows there's something you're thinking that you haven't shared yet. That gap becomes a hook. She's going to wonder what it was. She's going to replay the conversation trying to figure out what moment made you pause. This works because restraint is more powerful than oversharing. You're showing her you have thoughts about her that you're filtering, which implies depth. Most men say everything they're thinking immediately. When you hold something back, it signals you're being intentional. And intentionality is attractive. 20. Point out when her laugh changes depending on what made her laugh. Try this. You have two completely different laughs. There's the polite one you use when something's mildly funny and you're being nice. And then there's the real one, the one that's louder and catches you off guard, like you didn't mean to let it out that hard. I've only heard the second one twice. This level of observation does two things. First, it shows you've been paying attention long enough to notice a pattern most people never catch. Second, it implies that the real version of her, the unfiltered one, is the one you're interested in. You're not impressed by the performance. You're drawn to the moments when the performance breaks. That makes a woman feel seen in a way that bypasses all her defenses. And when defenses drop, attraction accelerates. Now we're moving into the territory most men never even notice exists. These last 10 are where everything shifts. 21. Tell her the version of herself you see that she doesn't show everyone. Here's what you say. There's a version of you that I don't think most people get to see. The one that's a little sharper, a little more direct, less worried about being likable. I've seen it a few times and it's my favorite one. This works because you're acknowledging that she performs different versions of herself depending on context. And you're telling her the unpolished one is what you're drawn to. Most people praise the version she works hardest to present. You're doing the opposite. You're letting her know the version she hides is the one you want more of. That permission to stop performing is rare. And when a woman feels like she doesn't have to manage your perception of her, the walls come down fast. You're not asking her to be more. You're asking her to be less filtered. 22. Describe the exact moment you realized you were attracted to her mind. Try this. It wasn't when you walked in or what you were wearing. It was when you explained that whole theory about why people self-sabotage, and I realized I'd never heard anyone break it down that clearly. That's when it clicked for me. You're pinpointing the moment attraction shifted from surface level to something deeper. This matters because most women assume men are primarily visually driven. When you tell her the exact moment you became attracted to how she thinks, you're rewriting the narrative she has about what men notice. You're proving that the thing she probably values most about herself, her mind, is the thing that hooked you. And that validation hits different than any compliment about her appearance ever could. 23. Mention the thing about her that would intimidate most men. Say this directly. You're the kind of woman most men wouldn't know what to do with. You don't need validation, you don't play games, and you're not afraid to walk away if something doesn't feel right. That intimidates a lot of guys. It's exactly why I'm here. This is bold because you're naming the thing she's probably been told is a problem. Her independence, her standards, her unwillingness to settle, and reframing it as the reason you're attracted. Most men try to make women feel like they need to soften or compromise to be desirable. You're doing the opposite. You're telling her the traits that make her difficult for other men are the traits that make her compelling to you. That flips the script entirely. And when a woman realizes she doesn't have to shrink to keep your attention, everything changes. 24. Tell her what she's like when she doesn't think anyone's watching. Here's the line. I've caught you a few times when you didn't know I was looking. You're different. Less careful. You let your guard down, and it's like seeing a completely different person, one that's less worried about how she's coming across. You're telling her you've observed her in moments when she wasn't performing for anyone. That creates a level of intimacy that feels almost invasive in the best way. She thought those moments were private. You're letting her know they weren't, but instead of it feeling creepy, it feels like being seen. You're not judging the unguarded version. You're drawn to it. That distinction is critical. Most people only notice the curated version of her. You've been watching the one she doesn't mean to show. If you're still here, you're already ahead of the guys who clicked off. Back that with a like. Then subscribe and tap the bell so you stay in that top group every time a new video drops. 25. Point out the pattern you've noticed and what makes her feel safe. Try this. I've noticed you only really open up when you're in control of the conversation. The second someone asks you something too direct, you deflect. But if you bring it up yourself, you'll talk about anything. You're naming a defense mechanism she probably doesn't realize is visible. This works because it shows you're not just listening to what she says, you're tracking how she navigates vulnerability. That level of awareness signals emotional intelligence most men don't have. You're not pushing her to change the pattern. You're just letting her know you see it. And when someone sees your patterns without judgment, it creates trust. Trust accelerates attraction faster than almost anything else. If that one landed, this next one is going to feel even more precise. 26. Describe the way she argues that you find more attractive than you should. Say this. The way you argue is kind of unfair. You stay calm, you don't raise your voice, and you systematically dismantle every point until there's nothing left to stand on. I know I should find that annoying, but I don't. It's actually impressive. This works because you're complimenting something most people would frame as a negative. Women are often told that being argumentative or too logical makes them difficult. You're telling her the opposite. The thing she might worry makes her too much is actually what makes her attractive. You're attracted to her strength, not despite it. That reframe does something powerful. It tells her she doesn't have to dim her intensity to be desirable. And when a woman realizes you're not threatened by her, the dynamic shifts completely. 27. Tell her the part of the conversation she thinks she lost but actually won. Here's what this sounds like. Earlier, when you backed down on that point, you thought you lost that argument. You didn't. You just decided it wasn't worth continuing. I could tell by the look on your face. That's not losing. That's choosing your battles. You're reframing a moment she probably replayed in her head later with frustration. You're telling her you saw what actually happened, and it wasn't weakness, it was strategy. This level of perception proves you're reading subtext, not just surface interactions. Most people accept the outcome of a conversation at face value. You're showing her you were tracking the decisions happening underneath. That makes her feel understood in a way that's almost uncomfortable because it's so accurate, and that discomfort creates pull. 28. Mention the thing she's insecure about that's actually one of her best qualities. Try this. You apologize for talking too much, but that's one of my favorite things about you. You get excited, and the words just pour out, and you don't filter yourself. Most people are so controlled all the time. You're not, and that's rare. You're taking the thing she's self-conscious about and reframing it as a strength. This works because everyone has something they think makes them too much or not enough. When you identify it and tell her it's actually what draws you in, you're removing a layer of shame she's been carrying. That act of validation, specific, earned, accurate, creates a bond that feels different than standard attraction. You're not just attracted to her. You're giving her permission to be more of herself, not less. 29. Describe what you notice when she's deciding whether to trust you. Say this. I can tell when you're deciding whether to trust me with something. You get quieter. You test the water with something small first to see how I respond. I've watched you do it 3 times now, and every time I know exactly what's happening. This is almost too observant, which is why it works. You're naming a process she thinks is invisible. You're telling her you can see her emotional risk assessment happening in real time. That should feel exposing, but instead it feels like being known. You're not judging the caution. You're acknowledging it exists and proving you've been paying close enough attention to track it. When a woman realizes her guard is visible and you're not pushing past it, you're just watching it, everything slows down in a way that builds trust. And trust is where real attraction lives. 30. Tell her the reason you keep coming back that has nothing to do with the obvious. Here's the closer. It's not what you think. It's not how you look or any of the surface level stuff. It's the fact that I don't know what you're going to say next. Every time we talk, you surprise me. And I can't remember the last time someone did that consistently. You're telling her the pull isn't about the things she's been told matter her whole life. It's about the things she controls entirely. Her unpredictability, her depth, the fact that she's not performing a script. That reframe shifts everything. You're not validating her for meeting external standards. You're validating her for being genuinely interesting. And when a woman realizes that's what's keeping you engaged, she stops trying to be anything other than exactly who she is. That's when real chemistry takes over. Those are 30 ways to turn a woman on without saying anything generic or predictable. You're not guessing anymore. You're noticing, naming, and making her feel seen in ways most men never even attempt. That's the difference between attraction that fades and attraction that builds. Saying these things shows her you're paying attention at a level most men don't reach. But here's what happens next. Once that attention is established, tension starts building whether you're trying to create it or not, and most people completely miss the signs that it's already there. The next video breaks down the 30 strongest signs of sexual tension between two people, the ones that tell you attraction has moved past words and into something you can actually feel.